Everyone, it's great to be here. I'm Tania Bryer, and welcome to the State of AI. I'm thrilled to be here at CogX Festival, and it's wonderful to have the most distinguished panelists ever. I will be introducing you to them. And as generative AI, as Julia said, is set to revolutionize the world as we know it, the Global Leadership Summit opens with these incredible, world-renowned AI thinkers, offering their perspectives on the state of AI ahead of taking a deeper dive into their areas of expertise on the AI deep tech stage. Please, you mustn't miss it. You must go and listen to them. So for this session, each of our speakers will give a brief overview of their AI deep tech session, which you can see later, and I know none of you are going to miss. They will then answer a question, and after that, we will hand over back to the next session. So without further ado, please welcome our first esteemed speaker, Jürgen Schmidhuber, Director AI Initiative, KAUST KSA, Scientific Director, Swiss AI Lab, IDSIA, and co-founder and chief scientist of NNAISENSE. Please welcome to the stage. There he is.
There we go. Thank you so much. In the 1980s, people said I'm crazy. My colleagues said I'm crazy when I told them that I want to build an AI smarter than myself, such that I can retire. And as of 2023, many of these colleagues have changed their mind, and suddenly they think that artificial general intelligence, superhuman AI, may be around the corner. And this is partially driven by the success of ChatGPT and similar language models that are based on artificial neural networks called transformers, like in the movies, these transformers. And I'm quite happy about that because in 1991, more than 30 years ago, I published a first transformer variant, which is now called the unnormalized linear transformer. It's just a name. The important thing is that the math is the same thing. And back then, we couldn't do anything with it because computers were so slow. But we had a trend, which says that every 5 years, compute is getting 10 times cheaper. Even back then, that was an old trend. And today, we can compute as much. We can compute 1 million times more per British pound than back then, which means that we can suddenly roll out all these things to billions of people, and you have our AI on your smartphones for speech recognition and whatever. Now, the next 30 years are going to bring another factor of 1 million, and it's not going to stop there. So much of what we think is great today will look trivial 30 years from now. And AI is really going to be for all, and that's the title of my talk. AI is for all, not just for a few companies, big companies, but for everybody. Everybody is going to have lots of AIs making their lives longer and healthier and easier. And in fact, the AIs that we have developed over the past few decades are actually already today making human lives longer and healthier and easier. And this is an unstoppable trend, and humanity as a whole is going to profit immensely from that. Thanks for your attention. Come to my talk.
Thank you so much, Jürgen. Before you go, don't leave me here. I have a question for you. Thank you, Jürgen. So the goals of today's AIs are mostly defined by humans. For decades, we've also had AIs that set themselves their own goals. One such AIs have become much smarter than humans. So what will they do?
That's an excellent question.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Many people don't know that there are AIs that don't just slavishly imitate what humans tell them, or try to fulfill human given goals. No, they set themselves their own goals. And they are a little bit like what babies do. What is a baby doing? Almost nothing of what a baby learns is dictated by the parents. Almost everything that the baby learns is based on self-invented experiments. So they take their toys and they rotate them in a certain way, and they notice how the video which is coming in through the camera changes over time, such that they learn how the world works through their self-generated goals, their self-generated experiments, where usually you have something like two networks. One is generating these experiments, and the other one is learning from the experiments. And now the first one is motivated to, or we can motivate it to learn action sequences or experiments that make the second guy, the model of the world, improve. And now we have had that for 30 years at least, more than that. But everything is going to scale like crazy in the next 30 years again. And now what is going to happen once AIs, which are like little artificial scientists, you know, like babies are also scientists, once they set themselves their own goals and are much smarter than we are, what's going to happen then? Well, of course, some of these AIs will have the goal of building even better and bigger AIs. And so they will have to go where all the resources are, the physical resources are matter and energy, and almost all of that is not in the biosphere. So many of those guys are going to emigrate. And with self-replicating robot factories, they are eventually going to colonize the entire rest of the universe. It will take a couple of tens of billions of years because light speed is a limit, but something extremely amazing is about to happen, is about to start in the not so distant future. So that's what's going to happen.
Well, Jürgen, thank you for that. We look forward to hearing more from you later when you delve in your session. Thank you so much, Jürgen.
My pleasure.
Thank you. And now, please welcome to the stage Dr. Rana El Kaliouby, AI thought leader, entrepreneur, investor, machine learning scientist, and Deputy CEO SmartEye, Executive Fellow at Harvard Business School, investor at Bold Capital Partners. Please welcome her to the stage. Rana, if you'd come, and if you could give a short overview of your session that you will be giving later. Thank you so much.
Tanya. Hi, everybody. It's great to be back in London. Did you know that only 7% of how humans communicate is in the actual choice of words we use? The majority, 93%, is nonverbal, and it's split equally between your facial expressions, your body posture, your hand gestures, your vocal intonations. And these nonverbal signals are so important. It's how we express ourselves. It's why we're here in person versus just on a Zoom screen. It's how we empathize with one another, and most importantly, it's how we build trust. But if you look at human-machine interfaces today, and especially AI, we're just fixated on the 7%. ChatGPT, for example, its input signals it's just text today. It's going to change, but for the moment, it's focused on that 7%. So I've been on this mission to humanize technology before it dehumanizes us by bringing emotional intelligence, or emotion AI, into our devices, into our machines, and into AI. And by doing so, I believe we're going to transform not only how humans connect with machines, but most importantly, human-to-human connection and communication in an increasingly digital universe. There are so many applications of this technology, everything from autism to understanding how people respond to content, to automotive safety, to health, robotics. And then, of course, there are a lot of ethical questions and questions around how do we mitigate data and algorithmic bias with these technologies. So if you're curious around how to build EQ into machines and the implications of this technology, come to my deep tech session. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Rana, just before you go, why does AI need emotional intelligence?
Yeah, that's a great question. Like, why bother, right? Why do we bother with building emotional intelligence into our machines? You know, if you look at human intelligence, our IQ matters, but our EQ matters even more. We all know that. We know that people who have emotional intelligence, they're better leaders, they're better partners, they're more persuasive, they can motivate behavior change. And with AI becoming so deeply ingrained in every aspect of our lives, we kind of need to instill these technologies with emotional intelligence. I'll give you some examples. So what if your car had your back? So I walk into my car and it says, "Oh, you've been traveling nonstop, Rana. You look so exhausted. How about I take the wheel and you take a power nap?" That's one example. My favorite examples, though, is what if your fridge had an emotion chip?
Oh,
So
that's dangerous.
so it detects if you're stressed because of an upcoming deadline or a talk, and it basically locks down and doesn't let you have that extra Ben and Jerry's tub.
Ooh.
So yeah, there are a lot of applications. I think the most powerful one is around mental health disease. You know, when you walk into a doctor's office, they don't ask you for your blood pressure, they just measure it. But unfortunately, in mental health, the gold standard is still on a scale from 1 to 10. How depressed are you? How anxious are you? Even how suicidal are you? And the data is really inaccurate. But with Emotion AI, we can detect facial and vocal biomarkers, physiological signals that can allow us to objectively measure mental health disease and intervene at the right moments in time. So there's a lot of promise for this technology, and I do believe that it's going to transform. It's going to become the default human-machine interface, and I hope it's going to reimagine how we connect as humans as well.
And what sort of time frame are we looking at, do you think?
Yeah, most people don't realize this. This technology has been deployed. You know, I started doing this in academia and now in industry, and the technology is being used by Fortune 500 companies around the world. We're in 1 million cars detecting driver state, like driver attention and driver drowsiness and fatigue. So yeah, this technology is out there, but it'll continue to become more ubiquitous.
Rana, thank you so much. We look forward to hearing more from you later on in your session. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you, Rana. Our next speaker, please welcome Dr. Ebtesam Almazrouei, Executive Director and Acting Chief AI Researcher, AI Cross-Center Unit Technology Innovation Institute. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. What a lovely morning to be with you today in CogX. And with this team, I am honored to be with this team's guests and my colleagues of Bright Minds today to discuss what's the future of AI, what's the state of AI. The most important question, which is like ambitious, at the same time necessarily, how we should develop and deploy AI responsibly and ethically, and at the same time, it should be accessible for everyone. So that's what we did with my team, and we developed Falcon 180B today. It's the largest, let's say, and the best OpenAI source model. That is, today, you can go in Hugging Face and download it, utilize it. But why it is important to open source or open access AI, let's say, models? This technology, when it will be accessible for everyone, you can fuse the power of AI or generative AI model across different industries, from healthcare, drug discovery, for example, in education. You can take this, let's say, advanced generative AI model, fuse it with casual AI, emotion intelligence, and different, let's say, AI solution. At the same time, in your heart, you should be committed to responsible and ethical use of AI. That's the thing that I will discuss it in my, let's say, topic in the deep tech session today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Just before you go, I'd like to ask you, how are open source AI initiatives, you think, influencing and revolutionizing industries that were previously untouched by AI? And what potential do you think these have?
Thank you so much. I think this is very important question. And today, if you look to the open sourcing AI model, and today the industry is, for the AI at least community, there is a closed source model, such as, for example, GPT-4, Palm 2, and there is the open source community, not only towards generative AI, but also across object detection, emotion intelligence technique. When we develop this technology and contribute back our innovation to different research groups around the globe, we can develop a solution that everyone can utilize that solution and implement it for different, let's say, data set belongs to, for example, in healthcare, that I don't have access to it, but you can build on top that open source model and develop a solution that you can contribute back to the humanity.
Thank you so much. We look forward to your session
Thank you
later
so
on.
much.
Thank you for joining us. Well, last but not least, please welcome now to the podium Stuart Russell, Professor of Electrical Engineering and Computer Sciences at UC-Berkeley.
Thank you and good morning. So my talk this afternoon is going to be about the main problem I've been working on for the last decade or so, which is how to ensure that increasingly powerful AI systems are necessarily beneficial to humanity. Also about how that issue fits with what's happening right now. So let me briefly say what's happening right now. For the last decade or so, I think the aliens have been sending us emails from outer space saying that they're going to arrive in a decade or two. And we, humanity, has been sending back an out-of-the-office auto-reply saying we'll get back to you when we return. And now I would say humanity is back in the office and we are reading those emails from the aliens. And we're running around like headless chickens trying to figure out what to do. So governments in particular are asking people in AI, what should we do? How do we regulate? How do we control? How do we think about the future? What policies should we be engaging in? One thing you hear is that it's very hard to regulate AI. No, it's not very hard to regulate AI. It's very hard for AI systems to comply with regulations. We can make perfectly simple regulations like you can't replicate yourself, you can't break into other computer systems, but it's very hard to make the large language models behave themselves because we have no idea how they work. So I think we're going to need a significant international collaboration both on AI safety research and on how we regulate the red lines that we draw that AI systems must not cross. And lastly, we're going to need a way to make sure that unsafe AI systems can never be deployed to cause havoc for our species. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Stuart, for that quick overview. How do we retain power, though, over entities more powerful than us forever? We can't send them the out of office again.
No, we can't. And you might say, yeah, it's no good us telling them what to do because they have more power than we do. And if you put it that way, it sounds sort of unsolvable.
Yeah.
Right? They're more powerful, we can't have power over them, end of story. And I think that's what led Alan Turing, the founder of computer science in 1951, to say that we'd have to expect the machines to take control. So I'm going to reply with a different formulation of the question.
Okay.
Right? What is a well-defined mathematical problem such that if the AI systems solve that problem arbitrarily well, they can be as intelligent as you want, but they have to solve this problem. What is the problem such that we are guaranteed to be happy with the outcome? Right? That's the better way of thinking about it.
Yeah.
Now it sounds like maybe we could work on that problem. And if we think about where things go wrong, right? They go wrong because AI systems are pursuing some objective, either one that we've put in or one that they've made up, as Jürgen said earlier. And that objective is not completely and correctly reflecting what we want the future to be like. Right? And if you think about it, it's practically impossible for us to put in that objective directly. And it's pretty much certain that if they make up the objective, it's not going to be that. And so what we've come up with is something called an assistance game, right? And why is it called an assistance game? Well, it's assistance because we want the machine to be of assistance to humans. And it's a game because there's really two players in this game. There's the machine and there's the human. And the human is the one with the objectives, the one that cares about what the future should be like. And the machine's only objective is to bring about the future that the human wants. But the machine knows that it doesn't know what that future is. And so its work is cut out for it to both find out what humans want and make sure that it comes about. And in the meantime, right, until it finds out, then it's going to be very careful, right? It's going to ask questions, it's going to ask permission, and if the human doesn't like what the machine's doing and wants to switch off the machine, then the machine wants to be switched off, which is the cool thing, right? Because it doesn't want to do whatever it is that was going to upset the human, right? And so with this type of system, this assistance game solver, you actually get the kinds of behaviors that we really want from controllable AI systems. And it's completely the opposite of the kinds of AI systems that we're building right now, which probably have goals. The large language models like ChatGPT are probably absorbing goals from all that text that they read, like the goal of getting the human user to marry the machine, for example, as happened in one conversation in the New York Times. And this is a disaster, right? We're working towards superintelligent machines that have goals where we don't even know what those goals are, and that's a recipe for catastrophe.
So why aren't we stopping it?
Why aren't we stopping it? I think, I would say governments have been lulled into inactivity by decades and decades of being told that regulation stifles innovation. I think the tech companies have put something into their earpieces that says that to them every night as they go to bed. Regulation stifles innovation. And they've just been lulled into this total inactivity. And they've got to learn that, yes, we can regulate, just as we regulate airplanes. Would you like to get onto an airplane that no one has ever tested to make sure that it's safe? And there's no third party to insist on safety regulations? No. Right? Why should we put up with that for our digital technology? We would never put up with it for airplanes, for pharmaceuticals, for nuclear power stations, and many other. Even sandwiches are much more regulated than AI systems.
Well, Stuart, thank you so much for that. We look forward to your talk later on. Thank you so much. Thank you very much for joining us here. And with that, everyone, please thank all my incredible speakers. You can and you will and you must hear more from them on their AI Deep Tech sessions later on. Thank you so much to all my wonderful speakers.
Very good. Wonderful.